Like, if America is sincere in following through with this memorandum of understanding and an actual ceasefire, then the American media will follow through on the criticisms of Israel. They'll start ripping into Israel. All the while, in spite of this propaganda, there are tremendous numbers, tremendous percentages of the population who say 69% of the American population polled in the YouGov poll says the conflict with Iran was not worth the cost for the United States. And there are even worse numbers here. For the record, the only group of people that say it was worth it are conservatives at 63%, and 66% of self-identifying Republicans say it was worth the cost.
But if they have any excess capacity, they're making a deal to build missiles, and the Patriot in particular. We have quite a few of them, but we want to make sure we have always a lot of them.
Mr. President, on Colombia, the candidate that you endorse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on the quantum physics. All of you. Vice President Vance said that there are mechanisms in place to make sure that there's not escalations with the Strait of Hormuz and with Israel and Lebanon. Can you talk about what those mechanisms are, and are you in direct talks with the Supreme Leader, Moshe
look, here's the thing. As long as they respect us, I don't want to use the word fear, because that's an inappropriate word, but as long as they respect us, we're not going to have any trouble. We have total control of the Strait.
So the mechanism is
we have a Navy that had a blockade. I think the blockade was more impactful than dropping bombs, if you want to know the truth. It was like they call it the steel wall. Nobody got through. Not one ship got through, able to go.
Look at that.
They got through.
As long as they respect us. He's changing his tone. Okay, interesting.
Again, in about 15 minutes. I would say, Pete, one phone call.
I mean, no one fucking respects you, but...
Half hour.
They're ready to go right now if you need to.
It'll be before we finish the meeting. No, we have... as long as they respect us, we're going to be fine. If they don't respect us, things wouldn't be good, but they have a lot of respect. Don't forget, we had presidents that should have done this for 47 years. Nobody did it. Obama gave them a road to a nuclear weapon. I gave them a wall against a nuclear. They can never, under this agreement, they'll never even think about building a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, on Colombia, the candidate... El Tigre, Abelardo de la Espriella. We know that you had a phone...
I endorsed him. He was in 10th place. I endorsed him, and he won the election.
Yeah, we know that you had a
no different than this country.
You had a phone conversation with Abelardo de la Espriella in the last hours. What can you tell us about that phone conversation, and what do you see, what do you anticipate?
You're from Colombia?
Yes, sir, I'm from Colombia.
So he
Cartagena, great city.
He called me last night, and he thanked me for the endorsement. He won. He won the election. He wasn't anticipated to win, but he won, and he won.
Yeah, another fucking fascist dipshit.
He was just a good man. I'd watch him a little bit speak, and he always speak. When people like me, I like them. It's very simple. It's a very simple formula, and I like him. He said really nice things about me and the job we've done in the United States, and very, very powerful. And he won an election in Colombia that, I don't know, some people were surprised because he was a little bit further down the pack, but he won easily last night. He won by, he called me at 8:30 in the evening just to thank me very much. And I said, you ran a great campaign. He said, El Tigre, right?
Yeah. And what do you anticipate for the relation with Colombia? Colombia is such an
much better. It'll be better. He's going to be a great president.
Mr.
President. Are the contractors who did the initial work for the reflecting pool
Voice crack.
for the current condition, or is it the vandals?
Oh, voice crack too.
Vandals. We have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it, probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind. We had people lifting up the basic, some of
what?
it. It's not a lot of damage, but
it's so funny. Everything is cope.
Refix it. They went in there with a knife. I was just
How
told
could they
by
destroy the entire
by the
reflecting
people
pool
over
with a
at
knife,
Parks. They have
dumbass?
5 people are arrested, and 5 people are under investigation right now.
Oh
And
my
it's a
God,
sad thing.
dude,
In
this
addition
is
to
so
that,
funny. I love this
we put
story
brand
so
new,
much.
Beautiful grass all around.
It's
They
so
put these
perfect.
massive
It's so perfect for the
letters
Trump
on the grass.
administration.
You probably know about
Everything's reflecting pool.
And, they said 86-47. They probably got that from the dirty cop. Call me cop, don't you? Dirty cop. He's a crooked guy. They destroyed the grass. So that's a big thing. But we're going to get it back very soon.
National Guard and police have been all over the mall. How would these vandals have gotten so close to do something like that?
Do you have any proof of
I
this?
mean, we didn't have a lot of them then. Who would think that somebody would go into a pool and take a knife and start cutting it?
But do you have proof of that? That they used a knife? Do you have photos or videos?
Well, let's put it this way. When you have a 350, I think it's 350, not 250, a 350-foot
This is in
slit
his wheelhouse, so he's letting
one
it
end
cook.
to the other? You think
He's
that's
letting
proof?
follow-up questions.
The reporters have been down there today that you mentioned, and there's no
Just
evidence of
all
it.
you'd have to do is see the Parks Department. They'll show it to you. See the secretary. But they cut it. They cut it very violently. The same thing with the floor. They cut it.
They
And
cut
then
it
they
very
lifted it, they
violently.
pulled
They're
it,
destroying
and
my
that's what it is.
reflecting pool.
Over 50 monuments. Number one, we start with this is now a safe city. It's as safe a city as you can
Yeah,
get.
not
in
for the
country.
reflecting.
It was a very dangerous city. And number two, what we did is the beautification with the parks and the grass and everything, removal of all the tents. And this is like a different place. One of the things we did is over 50 fountains and statues, most of which were in horrible. Some were just absolutely horrible. Graffiti, you couldn't even see the stone. They've all been fixed. We also fixed the reflecting. Right now it looks very good. It's up. They put, somebody said fertilizer in the water. If you put fertilizer in the water, you get algae. Put fertilizer. They did something at the bottom. There's two little areas.
I stood here with you in April when you first revealed the plans.
I said what?
In April, when you showed us pictures
Yeah.
of what you were going to do at the
Yeah.
pool, and you said you had a guy, $1 million.
Well,
It's been 2 months and $16.5 million.
Yeah, okay, ready? Barack Hussein Obama. Have you ever heard of him?
Oh!
He spent 2 years and over $100 million on trying to fix it. You know what happened to it? Never even opened.
Right.
He took the water from the river. You know about that, right? It turned out to be putrid, and it destroyed the whole thing. Spent over $100 million. Him and Biden together spent $147 million.
You heard of
You
him?
know what happened? Never opened. You don't mention that, right?
But the Phillips
we spent about 10. Much of the money we spent are park workers. They're there whether they do this or not, as you know. They work in the park, and they're very. They did a great job. So they were going to spend $300 to $400 million. You know that, and it was going to take 4 years. I spent.
This is
I
his special
spent
interest. Yes, yes.
About
He loves this shit.
6-7 weeks, and I spent
6-7.
probably in terms of outside, probably $10 million, around 10 million. They say 16, but a lot of that's workers that work for the same thing. So they were going to spend $400 million. I spent 10. Going to spend 4 years. I spent 2 months, maybe less, and I have a better product. Now I can't help it if with a knife and starts hacking it up. And we also have pictures of it. You know, we have
Can you
pictures.
release the photos? Because we've been
No, at the
asking
right
for
time
that.
you'll see it. You'll see it in court. You'll see it in court. But all you have to do is call the Parks Department. Call the Department of Interior, and I don't know if their lawyers will allow you to speak to them because you know you're fake news. But
There's
call
proof the knife has been found.
Interior Department. And I understand they've arrested 5 people, and they have another 5 people that are under investigation.
Such a unique
Here's
knife.
the bottom line: we made.
Only a unique knife like this could present such a unique pattern. It's clear. It's clear to me. Clear as day.
78% in a matter of months. It was a hellhole. New Orleans, crime is down 79%. And they had Mardi Gras. It was the safest Mardi Gras they've had in 50 years. The governor called me. Governor Landry called me. Safest Mardi Gras they've had in, and by the way, Chicago, which is a shooting field right now, if the governor would call me, Governor Pritzker would call me, I would solve the Chicago problem. In 3-4 months, you'd have virtually a crime-free city. We'll remove all of the bad ones. You have criminals. You have career criminals that came in through the border because of Sleepy Joe Biden. Sleepy Joe Biden, do you ever hear of him? He let people come into
I've
this
heard of him.
country, and we can never forget that that happened. Guys like you should never.
He's
They
right.
were murderers, drug dealers, mental patients. They took them out of prisons. They took them out of mental institutions. forget that happened.
We shouldn't.
Mr. President, you're
We shouldn't. Thank you, Mr. President.
You were meeting with NATO Wednesday.
We got here from the reflecting pool, by the way. He started off with, do you know a guy named Barack Hussein Obama? And ended with, Joe Biden let the migrants in.
It's NATO, basically, the question. So we have been a great member of NATO. In many ways, certainly a member. We paid trillions of dollars over the years, not billions, trillions over the years to protect Europe. When we wanted to know, I didn't need any help at all. I was more curious than anything else. So I said to Pete, let's see if they'd actually come. So we asked them to come, and they weren't there for us. So stupid that they weren't. By the way, Starmer wasn't there. And you know what? The people of the UK did not like it that he wasn't there. Starmer said no. He said worse than no. He said, we'll be there as soon as you win. I said, we don't need you as soon as we win. Before I went in, we called him. He said, we'll be there. This was not Winston Churchill.
That's why British people voted him out. I like that this is in line with the like that come in here and they're like, well, Starmer got pushed out because of the rape gangs, mate. And then you got some people thinking that the other people like Donald Trump being like, Starmer got pushed out because he wouldn't go to war. Yeah, I already read this. Yeah, I'm saying Starmer got pushed out because he banned me from the UK.
So I say to Pete and I say to everybody else, if we're spending all of this money, hundreds of millions of dollars to protect them from Russia, mostly. Okay, so spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You know, the case could be made that we spent all of the money over the years before I cut it back. But listen, we spend all of this money, and then when we want to maybe have help on small stuff, this is small time. This is small potatoes. They say no, would rather not help. Stupid thing to say, because we can say that to them if we.
It's the 1-year anniversary of Operation Midnight Hammer. If you could go back in time, is there anything you?
The most successful attack that anyone's ever. Ever seen with a bomber that totally wiped out their nuclear potential. Right now, Israel would not exist, and most of the Middle East would not exist. They were 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. If we wouldn't have done that, there's something about that?
Yes, sir. I didn't. I wasn't aware it was
the
1
fuck
year.
does
But
Pete Hegset
you don't
know?
have the situation we have now, a position of strength where Iran's going to give up their nuclear hammer. Which,
By the way, the irony is Keir Starmer not involving himself with the Iran ordeal is probably one of the only good things he did because he was under tremendous at that point. And it is really funny that Trump is actually saying he got ousted because he didn't involve himself with Iran.
Do nothing.
and they can do nothing. Offenses, which are even further now degraded, and that's what everyone misses in the press. And the president's right to call it fake news, because the overwhelming military victory that has been had is what has set the conditions for them to be at the table with our negotiators. And we will ensure, whether it's through a deal or through the War Department, that they never get a nuclear weapon. Right here.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Kick out. Do you see Taylor Lorenz? Oh, I don't want to talk about this. Anyway. All right. Now let's get back to this administration. Iran has agreed to admit nuclear monitors into the country, Vance says. Shaky Susan loves Israel. Okay, I don't even want to get into Shaky Susan yet. Okay. Let's peanuts Vance.
And this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans back into their country. That is a major.
Wow. What a remarkable diplomacy. You mean to tell me they're back to JCPOA conditions? Wow. Which, by the way, okay, not entirely certain that this is even real, because from what I understand, the Iranian envoys haven't even brought in their nuclear, repeatedly saying that the nuclear talks are not on the table yet. They will be, just not at this stage. So I don't even know if he's lying about this. The Iranian side. But what's also very funny about this is that he's not even lying about something far-fetched. Because even if what's real, even if what JD Vance is saying is correct, this is not a new thing. The International Atomic Energy Agency was already operating inside of Iran.
Milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot. And that leads me to the final thing that we wanted to accomplish, which is actually set up the process for the technical negotiations that will follow. Our team, the Iranians, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis made great progress yesterday. They will continue to work at the technical level with the teams here in Bergenstock. Negotiations are going to continue over the weeks and days to come. We wanted to set up a structure for that so that you could have proper political oversight, but obviously, as my place is very beautiful, I can't stay here for the next 60 days. I'm about to go back home to the United States, but the technical teams are going to be working with proper oversight to make sure that we're accomplishing the for everybody. So those are the things that we wanted to accomplish. We came here, we did exactly that. The way that I think about it is very simple. We laid a very good foundation, successful final deal. The final deal is the house. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get for the American people. I think it's important for all of us to appreciate how much was done, but honestly, there is still a lot to do as we continue to make nuclear talks, on the economic talks, as we continue to demine the straits and ensure that that flow of traffic continues to pick back up. A lot of progress, but still some work to do. We're very committed to doing.
Why did the Iranian delegation leave at the beginning and then they came back? Because Israel was bombing Lebanon in direct violation of the first stage. First demand being made in the ceasefire negotiations in the MOU is a cessation of hostilities. Iran understandably does not trust the Americans. Why would they? America has engaged alongside Israel in act of perfidy, not once but twice. So for them, in order to establish any kind of trust from their end, they want America to restrain Israel. This is actually not that complicated of a demand. It's actually a demand. It's a demand that the rest of the world is also on board with, ironically enough. But basically, yes, I'm going to watch the rest of the MAGA debate. Hasan, are you going to watch the rest of the MAGA debate? I'm locked in. Yes. Dean Withers Jube will watch the rest of it today, later. Anyway. Hold on. Will you watch the messy highlights? No. Please know it's so boring. It's not. It's actually a lot of fun, in my opinion. I think it's a lot of fun. Your commentary on that Jube video was some of your funniest commentary straight up. Thank you. Do you think the Iranian government watches all the pendulum swinging in the U.S. and just go like, I mean, sure, we all agreed to the thing we agreed to before he said it was bad? They are very tapped in, very locked in to American politics. They're super tuned into American politics. Let's be real. We know that already. Many of them have actually had jobs in the United States of America. They're much better educated. I'm so happy the UK. Okay, 31 month subscriber. In any case, getting back to the point that I was making, Iran understandably is demanding America. It's a big ask only because America has chosen not to restrain Israel. Okay?
Exactly that. So with that, I'm happy to take a few questions. Start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Describing it as perfidy downplays that it was lying on purpose to set up murders. No, I mean, that's literally what you inserted the definition of perfidy. That's precisely what, yeah. Yeah, it's just lying. Word for it.
Did the president's threats yesterday really throw
Chad is being bratty because it's June. Let us be.
point. Can you just clarify and tell us what happened?
No, they didn't throw a wrench in the system. The thing with the Iranians, yes, they did threaten they would walk out, but we were negotiating well past 1 in the morning yesterday, so they didn't walk out, and their technical team is still here in Berlin. We speak, though I imagine maybe some of them are taking a break to watch this news conference. But look, what we told the Iranians and what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the President of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. The President is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, it's actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day,
Inspectors, when do you expect them to be welcomed into Iran? Is there a time frame that you guys are looking at? And do you think this can end by the midterm elections?
Well, look, right now the conflict is in a ceasefire and our certain permanent settlement. But right now, I think we've made great progress, and we should all celebrate that. In terms of when the nuclear inspectors are going to start, last night around 2 in the morning, as you can expect. Not many people are answering their phone at 2 in the morning. I expect that will happen at the minimum. With the inspectors and with the IAEA could happen as soon as today, but I haven't checked in with our inspectors. Sorry.
Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Did you going in expin as they ended up doing? And how would you describe the progress on Lebanon? I know Mr. Arachi said it was very good progress, but
very good progress, too. I mean, look, we want a regional ceasefire, right? We want Hezbollah to stop firing at our friends in Israel. We want Israelis to be able
to promote it. I wish we hadn't banned that one starving Marxist chatter, because I love hearing from the hogs when this is like a moment of absolute defeat and a recognition of absolute defeat. It says like some semblance of victory when it's clear that there's no victory here.
Live in peace.
Hey, bro, it's my 36th birthday today. I'm washed like you. Crash Carpenter. Hey, we're both chud-ass losers.
We also want to make sure that, you know, when things happen, they don't spiral into a broader escalation. And so we're calling a deconfliction mechanism, but what it really is to say that when things happen, the sides are actually talking to one another. Sometimes, you know, you got a bit an egg problem, that you've got a junior guy who fires a drone that didn't have approval from the high command. Okay.
Oh. You know, when the Iranians are lobbing missiles, it's just a junior guy. You know, it's not their fault. Respect. He's putting respect on it. He said, you know, look, the IRGC has a decentralized mosaic system of defense. Okay. Sometimes they're going to have rogue. Some of them hate Dubai. I personally, JD Vance, also hate Dubai. So I kind of understand. Can you blame them?
Okay, of course, Israel has to respond to that. But then sometimes that response, we could actually have a better and more peaceful situation in the context of a conversation that's ongoing between Hezbollah, Lebanon, Israel, and other partners in the region. There really hasn't been those discussions until basically around 4 p.m. yesterday, Bergenstock time, when we set that up. So what we're trying to do is to say, first of all, has the right of self-defense, but we want to make sure that everybody has that right of self-defense.
Oh, he's running cover for Israel? He's just saying it's not. I thought he was talking about Hezbollah. I think he's just doing it across the board. He's just like, you know, both sides have their guys. Some excitable. They're excitable. It happens. Don't worry about it.
In the background, where we're talking about how to de-escalate these, sometimes what'll happen is that if the conflict spirals out of control, that's worse for everybody's self-defense. We've actually got the process in place to ensure that that escalation doesn't happen. Now, I will say you already see the fruits of that over the past 24 hours. We've seen the situation in Lebanon. The previous 24 hours were pretty good. Obviously, there was some shooting about 72 hours ago. So what we've done is actually set up the operation so that we can ensure it doesn't spiral out of control in the future.
Does the U.S. want Israel forces from southern Lebanon?
Well, we want Israel's security to be protected, and we also want Lebanon's sovereignty to be protected. And this is going to be an ongoing. Israelis have been very clear they do not have territorial intentions on South Lebanon. The reason they feel they have to be there.
So to retreat, but also at the same time, you believe Israel has a right to set up a frontier of Lebanese territory. Very interesting. So do you want Israel to retreat or not?
Is because they're worried about Hezbollah fighters in South Lebanon firing into Israel. We do believe, of course, it's going to require a lot of hard work, that we can get to a place where Lebanon's territorial integrity and sovereignty is protected, Israel's security is protected, and that's going to require some coordination with the Lebanese armed forces, and also it's going to require the Iranians to rein in Hezbollah. That's all the sort of things that we were talking about yesterday, and again, I think that we got much further compared to where we were just 24 hours ago.
Have you spoken with Prime Minister Netanyahu during any of this process at all in the recent days?
Yeah, we were in constant contact with the Israelis yesterday, but also, of course, with the Saudis and the Emiratis and others in the region. We talked to the Lebanese yesterday as well, so we're constantly trying to keep our regional friends updated about this. This is not a deal that the United States is imposing on the region. This is a deal that the region has desperately asked the United States to put in place. Obviously, the headlines have been very focused about what's been going on between the United States and Iran, but this region has been a basket case for a very long time. And what?
Yeah, they're all a bunch of crazy guys. It's certainly not one country that is responsible for all of the instability. The same country that is doing all of this instability and behaving in this belligerent manner with our weapons and our unlimited support. It's certainly not the same country that we are refusing to restrain right now, even though the other country that we're currently in a ceasefire negotiation with is making it their primary focus and their primary demand. It's awesome. Just say Israel is the fucking belligerent country and you're going to restrain Israel. That's it. That's it. That's all you need to say here. And that's all you need to do, really. It's awesome, though, because no matter what these dipshits say, about, oh, the region is so scary and so dangerous all the time or whatever, Israel is the one country in the region that keeps saying, we are not abiding by American demands here. We're a sovereign nation, and they will continue giving us all the weapons that we will dump on Lebanese territory. Israel is dunking on us.
the president has set us to do, again, lay the foundation, see if we can get to a permanent peace. If we can't, the President of the United States still has a lot of options to accomplish America's security objectives, but he has certainly committed us to this pathway for now, and we're going to keep on working and seeing what we can accomplish. And then I want to just, before we
For all the talk about Arab honor or Iranian hangups, it's clear that Amer Israel is way more obsessed with saving face and way less capable of swallowing its pride. Adam Johnson says, yes, and in my opinion, more people should familiarize themselves with the British Empire's concept of the moral effect. Once one understands the centrality of it as a growing ideology within liberal imperialism, the extreme, seemingly counterproductive violence makes more sense. Today, US, UK, and Israel use different euphemisms: threat deterrence, American credibility, the Dahia Doctrine, crippling sanctions. But they all speak to a rigid and paramount ideological commitment to extreme violence to discipline recalcitrant populations on the periphery. Empires never die quietly. This is exactly what Adam Johnson is talking about. But empires' powers are not infinite. And America is certainly one of these empires that's currently in decline. And instead of addressing that decline and maybe retreating from the global stage in order to be a more productive partner in diplomacy with other countries, the United States of America keeps behaving in increasingly belligerent ways. It's pillar of colonial military doctrine, and it's a pillar of colonial military doctrine, and it's been central to the U.S., U.K., and Zionist ideology for centuries. The only way to maintain dominance of untamed populations is nonstop, extreme, and never-ending violence. Again, it is better PR now, but it's a basic tenet of U.S. foreign policy. Obviously, using extreme violence to dominate a population is not unique to the U.S., U.K., and Israel, but what they've invented was combining this subjugation and killing regime with high-minded liberal civilizing ideology, e.g. killing 20,000 kids is A-OK because democracy and gay pride marches. Yeah, liberal imperialism. Liberal Zionism, liberal imperialism, liberal colonialism. These are ideologies that are supposed to be at odds with one another. And yet, it has been the defining doctrine of Western imperialism in perpetuity, from Manifest Destiny, from the British colonial occupation as well, to Manifest Destiny, to Israel's taming of the beast, to develop a land without people for a people without land. It's always been the same. We have to do this because these guys are very angry and they're impossible to deal with. We just have to take more and more of their land. We have to keep killing them. And this is our way of civilizing these masses. White man's burden. Yep. Fascism is a more honest expression of this violence. Fascism is colonialism turned inward for that reason, right? It's a more honest expression of this militarism, and it's one that also turns its crosshairs on the domestic population that says this kind of instability can't go on. Oh, another Quillette writer. My latest Quillette. What the fuck? Hello?
Depart here. I want to say one last thing. I've seen some misreporting about frozen or unfrozen Iranian assets. One of the other things that we wanted to...
Boss call from Israel. I've decided that the MOU must not go on and that it's bad and that Israel has a right to defend itself. Ladies and gentlemen, it has nothing to do with the phone call I just had. It was just a very convincing phone call. Israel Chai, okay? Yeah, Israel Chai. Israel has a right to defend itself. And yeah, J.D. Vance is a vicious anti-Semite for things that he said about Israel last week. It's unforgivable. Okay? Yeah, Benji called me personally. Big Yahoo called up and said, Hasan, enough is enough.
still has a lot of options to accomplish America's security objectives, but he has certainly committed us to this pathway for now, and we're going to keep on working and seeing what we can accomplish. And then I want to just, before we depart here, I want to say one last thing. I've seen some misreporting about frozen or unfrozen Iranian assets. One of the other things that we wanted to do, and wasn't as high of a priority for us for obvious.
What state is Israel the size of? It used to be New Jersey, but it should be New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. That's the right answer. Israel, the size of New Jersey. Until now, we are taking territory in Syria and Lebanon. Israel will no longer be the size of New Jersey. It will be the size of New Jersey, New York, and maybe even Connecticut.
Reasons, but we wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that that money, that Iranian money, goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. So Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear. There are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal.
He's like, we eradicated U.S. aid, and we're just going to do a direct U.S. aid intervention in Iran. It's great for our farmers. That's cool. Don't know why Iran would take that deal, but sure. I love watching these guys cosplay neoliberal shit like Feed the Future. Yeah. I'm not entirely familiar with what the Iranian agricultural industry looks like. But I do love these guys reinventing U.S. aid from first principles after destroying it and possibly leading to like hundreds of thousands of deaths in Africa. They have finally arrived at U.S. aid once again. They're just putting the sticker in front of it. Trump aid. It's different. Totally different. You don't understand. It's called Trump aid, and it's such a good deal for our farmers. Okay? Kubide fields wherever your eyes gaze upon.
That's great for our people, great for the people of Iran, and fundamentally, again, will contribute to this regional security architecture that we've built and that we're going to work very hard to ensure that it endures. So from Switzerland, thank you all for being here. I appreciate the questions and I appreciate the engagement. I am looking forward to going back home, and we'll certainly keep everybody updated on what happens in the days and weeks to come. Thank you all. We want a regional ceasefire, right? We want Hezbollah to stop firing at our friends in Israel. We want Israelis to be able to live in peace. We've been, I think, very good at setting up what we're calling a deconfliction mechanism.
Let's see what CNN has to say.
Is to say that when things happen, the sides are actually talking to one another.
Vice President J.D. Vance says Iran has agreed to let weapons inspectors into that country. But the major concession that Barack Ravid just told Kate that the U.S. made along the way.
The vice president was asked if Netanyahu had been kind of looped into all of this. And he said, yes, we've been talking to the Israelis and keeping them in the loop, as well as the Qataris, Emiratis. Like, he says everyone is being kept looped in because this is about the region. This is not a U.S. imposed deal, is what he says. But you also have Netanyahu just saying, I think it was just yesterday, that saying that Israel is going to stay in Lebanon for as long as it takes to protect Israelis. And Vance is clearly trying to downplay how serious these last kind of round of strikes and flare-ups have become in terms of threatening this overall deal. How central are you hearing that Lebanon, this fight between an Iran proxy, Hezbollah, and Israel has now become to the actual U.S. deal with Iran that will stick?
No, I think it has become a major hurdle for the deal. This was, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes in the negotiations to wrap those two issues together. It was an Iranian demand in order for Iran to have a say in what's going on in another sovereign country that is not Iran. This is Lebanon. And they wanted to have a say in order to make sure that their proxy, the terrorist organization Hezbollah, will survive. And they got...
Yeah, Israel is a sovereign nation. Lebanon, not a sovereign nation, just an Iranian proxy. Hezbollah, Iranian proxy. Okay, well, Israel is an American proxy, Barack. Okay. Guess what? It's tit for tat. The deal is being negotiated between the United States of America and Iran. Iran is saying Israel is an American proxy. Hezbollah is our proxy. You have to stop the war between our proxies. Sucks to suck. They have a better understanding of the situation on the ground than the way Barack Ravid is trying to present it to the American population.
And what they got yesterday is even more significant. At the end of the...
What is this? Why would Iran want their money back if it's forced to be spent in America's economy anyways? What difference does it make to Iran at that point, whether they get the unfrozen or not, if it's not staying there? Yeah, it's incredibly stupid.
War in Lebanon in November 2024, the Biden administration negotiated a deal between Israel and the government of Lebanon that set a mechanism. This mechanism was the US, Israel, Lebanon, France, and the UN. And it was supposed to do deconfliction. Now, the Trump administration has created a new mechanism, but this time with the US, Iran, Lebanon, Pakistan, and Qatar. Israel is not part of this mechanism at all. And so I think that when Benjamin Netanyahu read this statement that came out last night from Switzerland, I think, basically it blew his mind because this is a catastrophe for him and his government.
Barack, J.D. Vance saying that Iran has agreed to allow UN nuclear inspection. Talk to me about what this means, how much of a win this is.
Well, first, this is part of a, let's call it, that's my description, a mini deal between Iran and the U.S. that I think has both sides have been working on for several days now ahead of this first round of talks.
Barack, I don't get it. You're supposed to be, an American journalist for an American outlet called Axios. But here you sound quite sad. Good? Here you sound quite disturbed by this revelation of the MOU. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but kind of feels like you're not an impartial actor here. I'm just a little confused by this professional journalist doing professional journalism on the impartial CNN news network. Interesting.
Is this mini deal? The Iranians will agree to invite the IAEA inspectors back to the country, and the U.S. will start taking steps to release frozen assets, Iranian frozen assets in Qatar. What happened during the this round of talks? The Iranians said, we will invite them. Iran and Qatar signed some kind of document that approves a mechanism for use of those funds, those $6 billion in Qatar. This money hasn't been released yet, and I think it will be released once the Iranians actually allow those inspectors back in the country. So this is the whole, let's say, mini deal that was agreed on during this round of talks. And it's meaningful because IAEA inspectors did not visit the key nuclear facilities in Iran, the facilities that were attacked during the June 2025 war. They haven't visited there since then, more than a year now. So if they will, it will be a meaningful step.
That is so. As everyone's keeping track of Barack's great reporting, always they were working. The MOU is a framework to get to a deal, a path to get to a path to a deal, and now we're talking about a mini deal, which will now continue with technical negotiations to get to. We're continuing to follow this as Barack brings it to us at every step of the way. Colonel, one aspect that's becoming more and more central, it seems very clearly in the last few days, is Lebanon. And Vice President Vance described in some detail how he says they have now set up a deconfliction mechanism to prevent flare-ups between Hezbollah and Israel, flare-ups and incidents from spiraling and escalating kind of out of control. How could this or would this work? What do you hear in this kind of announcement?
Yeah, Kate, one of the things that you hear is that this is basically going back to what was supposed to have happened in Lebanon multiple times. The UN had peacekeeping troops in Lebanon that were designed to basically deconflict between the Israelis and Hezbollah and of course, any other Lebanese elements that could possibly have been threatening to Israel. So in essence, we're going back to that kind of a state of affairs. Possibly without direct UN involvement. It's not clear whether that the UN will be involved or not, but right now they're not involved. So what I hear is a mechanism whereby the Israelis and the Lebanese will be talking to each other. Okay, that's good. The problem is how much is Hezbollah involved in all of this? And the thing that we have to remember is that neither Israel nor Hezbollah nor the Lebanese are part of these negotiations. So this is a deal that is made by other people that hopefully will be followed, because it does have an impact on the greater Iran deal that the U.S. and Iran are working on. But it is a positive step as far as it goes. But the problem is it does not include the people that are actually going to be either doing the shooting or the deconflicting.
With us now, CNN national security analysts Alex Plitzis and Beth Sanner. And Alex, I want to start with you. If I'm not mistaken, there were weapons inspectors inside Iran as recently as a year or so ago. What's the significance of Iran now saying they can come back in immediately? This was mentioned in the Memorandum of Understanding.
So it's part of the overall, I guess, implementation of the MOU is how I'll put it. We still haven't gotten to the technical level details. The inspectors coming back is good, obviously, because since the strikes, there hasn't really been anybody in place to see what the condition is on the ground. So having them come back is an important step. But overall, just the high-level implementation portion without actually getting into the technical details of how we're going to solve some of the thorniest issues.
Beth, what have we seen so far in terms of leverage, and who seems to have more of it in these talks?
Well, I think that it was very interesting that President Trump came in with this threat of almost a threat to assassinate the group who was negotiating, saying that they would get back to their country if they didn't stop Hezbollah in Lebanon from initiating actions. So important in terms of this leverage, right? But then Vance had to walk it back. So, when you try to use it, but no one believes that you will actually follow through with it, then you don't really have leverage, right? So I think that, when you look at what leverage we have, it's mainly about economics, right? It's really about the dangling of the carrot, because the stick is almost completely irrelevant right now and not believable. And I want to make one additional point on this idea of inspectors. We can't forget that Iran is actually treaty obligated to have IAEA inspectors in Iran. So what we're asking them to do is literally, yes, fulfill the MOU, but that's nothing to do with the fact that they already are under that treaty obligation. So again, we're kind of getting concessions for things that they're supposed to already be doing.
Or are we getting concessions at all, Alex? Are we seeing Iran give anything they're not more than willing to give so far in these talks?
So far, there hasn't been anything of substance. To Beth's point, they were granted the oil waivers. Things are starting to flow there. But we haven't seen any movement in terms of the technical details, the main issues the president wanted, which is particularly along the nuclear file. Again, from what we're hearing that came out of day one of the talks, This was really what I would call the next level below the MOU. If the MOU was, hey, we've agreed to talk about these topics, what was set forth is a framework over 60 days for how they would get those done in a very tight timeline that would quite frankly be unprecedented. And then some deconfliction mechanisms for potential regional hotspots for conflict. But other than that, Iran hasn't agreed, it looks at this point, to major concessions of any kind.
On the one hand, talking is talking, which is good. I mean, you would rather have every side talking than not talking. There is another side of this, though, Beth, which is that the Iranians, they're good at talking.
Would the media be a mouthpiece for Israel or the U.S. State Department if it came down to it? I know they're never going to be at odds. Yeah, they're never going to be at odds, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I do think that they would side with the American State Department if push came to shove. But because they're never at odds, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're watching it unfold right now. J.D. Vance had a short, brief stint criticizing American responsibility, and that that was quickly subsided. And they're back to business as usual.
And the teams, it benefits them.
It took 2 years for people to call the war in Gaza genocide, 4 months to finally realize Iran won this war and how they had more leverage. How long until outlets start war? Dependent on how America wants to manage this retreat.
So
if America is sincere in following through with this memorandum of understanding and an actual ceasefire, then the American media will follow through on the criticisms of Israel. They'll start ripping into Israel. All the while, in spite of this propaganda, there are tremendous percentages of the population who say 69% of the American population polled in the YouGov poll says the conflict with Iran was not worth the cost for the United States. And there are even worse numbers here. For the record, the only group of people that say it was worth it are conservatives at 63%. And 66% of self-identifying Republicans say it was worth the cost.